Hello.
I'm Scott.
And I'm Don.
And we're talking real estate. Guys, I tell you what, March is here. It's bringing the warmer weather. Maybe not today, but it's bringing the warmer weather. And ta-da, it brings another wonderful gift. New property tax assessments. We're going to talk about that. We're going to do a city spotlight like we always do. We'll talk a bunch of crazy inspection information, and we'll make fun of each other throughout the show. So enjoy all that. We're here for you. So let's get started.
Okay.
So the first thing I want to talk about, Don, is, and I was in New York a couple weekends ago, and I got a call from a friend of mine. She was worried about to know why her taxes had gone up, and I can always tell when the tax bill information comes out because the phone just rings and people are like, "How come my taxes went up? How come my taxes went up?" Like crazy. So I can always tell that's happening. So I think reviews are the next few weeks or so, something like that.
Allen Park just stopped. The last day was yesterday, I think. So.
Okay, so just something kind of for future information. So let's do this. So you were on the board of assessors in Allen Park, yes?
Allen Park, yeah. It's been a few years. I did it for about 5 years in the 12, 13, 14, 15, around that time.
Okay, so you're going to have a good knowledge base to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't like taxes either, so I'm just going to complain probably most of the time.
Don't complain to me. I'm just a deliverer of information.
All right, so let's do this. Okay. You start off and tell us, kind of give us some definitions. And folks, we promise we're going to try to break this down to the bare bones. We're not going to get all crazy with all kinds of weird information, okay?
Simple terms.
So go ahead.
Hopefully layman's terms. So I'm sure you received a document. Most homeowners received a document in the last 30 days showing it's an assessment based on, and what's showing is your taxes are going to go up. What the value of your home is done, which has gone up. So there's two figures on your SEV, which stands for state equalized value, and taxable value. Taxable value is the amount you pay taxes on. The SEV, state equalized value, is the amount the assessor feels your home is worth based on an open market, fair market, and you multiply that figure times 2, and that should be the fair market value. So for example, if your house's SEV is $100,000, multiply it times 2, it's worth $200,000 on the open market is the way they see it.
Right. So I get, before we even get further than that, that's usually not, and the way the houses are selling now, that's not how, I mean, the value's not the same usually, right?
Is the SEV?
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So I mean,
they're
like,
off.
like your numbers are going to, you call us, if you want to sell your house, you call us, we'll figure that number out. So,
and they can be off for
let's
sure.
talk about increases. So kind of break down increases for
Okay,
us.
so your taxable value, there's a cap on it. There's this thing from late 90s, I think, called Headley Amendment, which capped property taxes values going up a certain amount. And the maximum amount is 5% a year. Last year was only 1.9%. So
was it 2.4?
No, that was 2 years ago.
Okay.
Last year was 1.9%.
Right.
So
only less than half.
Yeah, less than half. Yeah.
So every year, let me kind of walk this through. So every year, the max your property taxes go up is 5% as you own your home.
The taxable value, yes.
Okay.
State equalized value can go up to whatever the fair market, whatever's going on in the market in your neighborhood.
Okay.
So that number usually, if you've been there a long time, your taxable value and your state equalized value there'll be a huge difference. And so
you've been there for a while, okay.
Yeah, so that's a big issue. So not if you're living there, it's for the new homeowner.
Okay, so I'll put it this way. Let me kind of tackle the new homeowner. So if you bought a house in the last year, your state equalized value and taxable value should be neck and neck, should be pretty close. Okay, but again, it will go back in that cap situation where every year they'll be able to go up 5% max. Okay, and that's across the whole state, right? That number doesn't.
Yes.
That 1.9% is whole state went up 1.9%.
Based on the consumer price index, CPI index, and it's all figured out.
Okay, so once you've lived in your home for a year, all of a sudden now you're kind of getting in that cap situation where your taxable value can only go up so much. Okay, your SEV again will change, with the market, but your taxable value can only go up so much. Yeah.
Well, technically, they both can change. If the market goes down deeply, the taxable value is going to eventually get affected.
Right. Well, I don't want to think about the market going down. I don't think about that at all.
Hopefully, it won't happen like it did in the 08, 09 again. So
don't say those words. What's the matter with you? So there's another interesting situation that it kind of warms your heart a little bit, and it's about veterans and taxes.
So there's a benefit to veterans that have served our country. In this case, if they are 100% disabled, they can have their taxes waived by the local authority and by the state. But there's 3 criteria. You have to meet one of these 3 criteria.
So just one, not all 3?
Not all 3,
okay.
just one of them.
Yep.
you have to be permanently disabled as a result of military service,
Okay.
or
Yep.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, does that have to be by a doctor, or who decides that?
By the VA,
Okay.
Veterans
Okay. Yep.
Administration.
Yep. Okay.
does that. They have a certification, and the next one is, or you have to be certified. Have a certification from VA certifying that you that you are receiving assistance from VA,
Okay.
or you are rated by VA as unemployable, which they have some criteria there that you can work some, but talk to your local authority and they'll
It's a
they
little
help
deeper
you out.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
you
kind
have
of
to
rabbit hole.
you have to fill out an application, and you have to supply some documentation to them that you are disabled, and it has to be very specifically worded.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really good thing.
So I would say this. So I feel very strongly about veterans and their service to our country. So I think that's probably the least you could do.
Absolutely.
If somebody was disabled defending our country and our freedom.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you. There's one more thing to that, is that a surviving spouse that is unremarried is entitled to that same benefit.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, which is really, I mean, the family suffers as well as the veterans.
So let me ask you this: while you were on the board in Allen Park, did you ever get a chance to use that?
We did the very first time, and I didn't really know a whole lot about it until a gentleman came in that was disabled, and to say your taxes have been waived was a pretty awesome feeling. That to be able to somehow you feel a little responsible for him, but it had nothing to do with me, just that we were able to do that. So yeah, it's
absolutely.
very heartwarming, and he's very appreciative of it. Of course, veterans simply are.
Gotcha. So let's talk city spotlight. Last week we did Canton, we've done Livonia. Where are we going to this week?
We're going downriver to Woodhaven.
Woodhaven,
Michigan.
So you and I talked about these numbers a little bit, and like you're gonna see my face go like this and make all kinds of crunchiness as he tells them, because it just kind of shocks me a little bit. So go ahead, sir.
Your face goes like that all the time. I don't know if you know that. It has nothing to do with this city or anything.
I'm sure it does. Yeah.
So anyways, in Woodhaven, there are currently 11 homes on the market.
So you're telling me in the city of Woodhaven there are 11.
Only
one.
Only 11.
Not even a dirty dozen.
Yes, not even a dirty dozen, right? Not even a baker's dozen.
Okay, go ahead. What else you got?
And the price range, just to kind of high and low. The low is 119.9 all the way up to 419.
Yeah.
So most of them are in the 200s.
200s, okay.
Upper 100s, 200s.
So how many sold in the last 30 days? Let's try that.
Pendings.
Oh, pendings. Let's do pendings.
Pendings meaning that they're under contract. 19 homes.
Okay, so pendings meaning that they accepted an offer, means the market's starting to get out of the winter and start to get into the spring.
Absolutely.
There's more pendings than
pendings
actives.
than actives.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the last 30 days, there were 11 homes that have sold and closed, meaning that ownership has changed hands, and that's all.
So that just blows my mind. Like I don't know. Maybe I feel like Woodhaven is bigger than that. I just that 11, 19, 11. That doesn't seem right. So
and the 19 may be closing in the next 30 days. So the next one might be 19.
Yeah.
So you've seen it edging up.
I will tell you, in Brownstown, we had one couple that was going to move from Brownstown to Sumter for some land, and that just closed Monday. And we sold for above asking. It was 3 days. So I mean, like the market's starting to move a bunch.
Yeah.
But I thought Woodhaven was bigger. I guess for some reason.
So that one sold over asking.
Over asking, yep.
Boy, in the winter, it's selling over asking. Who would have thought?
Yeah, no kidding. So
things do sell. In the
the spring was right on the corner. So I think people are getting spring fever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
in the other part of the show today, and again, folks, we're trying to give you good, solid information here, is I want to talk about inspections. There are about 7 bazillion different types of inspections. I know I exaggerate, but there's like this inspection and this inspection and that inspection. And what happens is people assume one inspection covers another one and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of want to walk through it slow.
Yep.
I want to make sure people understand from the buy side and the sell side kind of what inspections are involved in each side.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one up is private inspections. And you and I, we've talked about this.
Yep.
We're big fans of private inspectors. It's a huge thing for you to do. It's a mistake if you don't do it, in my eyes, and I'm sure that's in your eyes
so
too.
I think maybe 2 folks have not had a private inspection. One just recently was kind of, but I'm always going to say, hey, I strenuously suggest you get a private inspection.
Absolutely.
Strenuously, because those are folks that look at houses as structure and mechanics and all that kind of stuff every single day. Like my inspector guy that I use, he does like 3 or 4 days, 7 days a week.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that, for that $200 or $300, that's the best $200, $300 you're going to get out of buying a home.
Yep.
because it could save you money from buying a money pit or problems that you may not be aware of, finding things like that. It's well worth every penny.
Well, but then you also you got to have some tact too on that same thing. Like if a door needs adjustment or something like that, you can't freak out. Like there's a lot of things that an inspector's job is to find everything wrong with the home he possibly can. Not going to find everything, but they'll find quite a bit. So they're doing their job. They're finding all kinds of little things, and what you're hoping for is not big, huge. In the word I think you want to use is money pit. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's what I.
You don't want to get in a money pit situation, right? So now I got a couple things for me that are very sit down and really discussed. We really want to buy this house with buyers, and one is foundation, right? Mm-hmm. Like you'll find me every time I go with a buyer somewhere, I go in the basement, I'm sniffing like a bloodhound all the time because I'm from Dearborn Heights, and we all know what happens in the South Heights, right? So water hangs out in the South Heights in the basement. So that's one is foundation stuff. The other one I guess for me is roofs. If the roof is in terrible shape or it's got a bunch of leaks or something like that. And the last one is electrical, not grounded, because I hear that all the time. The house isn't grounded. I hear that kind of stuff sometimes. But like if there's loose wires, like I was at one this weekend where they had a bunch of loose wires just kind of hanging out in the attic, mm-hmm. right? I mean, how hard is it for a seller to throw those in a junction box and kind of protect things, right? Anything else?
Well, they don't know what they're doing. You don't want it at home.
Well, no, yeah.
Get
an electrician. Yeah. So, any other things that you ever see in a private inspection? You go, whoa, we better really sit down and think about this.
I think one of the big ones that is really helpful is a sewer inspection.
Sewer cam.
Sewer cam, yeah, and it's even typically if you see trees, it's a red flag. But even sometimes the trees have been cut down a few years earlier, and the sewer could be cracked or roots can be in there, and
that's the thing. Like that's what you never know. Mm-hmm. Like you never know. So for me, the sewer cam inspector guy is usually separate from my inspector that we use. Yes. And then what they do is they take a camera, right, and they run through your sewer drain, and they go all the way out to the middle of the street, right,
to the city,
right. And it's kind of interesting. Like, oh, there's a little grease there, like so. You can see all the grease and the craziness that people have had before, but you'll see like tree roots. Biggest thing is to make sure that those sewer mains aren't cracked.
Yeah, I had one. The buyer did a sewer inspection, and it was in Dearborn, as a matter of fact, on Cherry Hill, and they found that the drain had dropped a little bit right by the main, and so it might have been a couple inches below them, but it was still flowing out. Yeah. But it was a concern to the buyers, so we talked to the seller, which they found out. They talked to the city, and the city repaired it for the seller. Okay. We asked the seller. Yeah, it was a very interesting thing.
That is interesting.
It was a major job too. So.
Well, yeah.
But it saved the buyer a considerable amount and problems.
So other parts of private inspections, one that comes up a lot is mold, right? Mm-hmm. Like mold in the attic or mold in the basement a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have a hard time with the mold thing. If it's everywhere, they're in like all over the place, okay, maybe it's unhealthy. But if it's in a couple spots, I don't know. I've just seen too many people use stuff like kind of chromium and just kind of wipe it out and be done with it. So you can have it lab tested. I know a couple of inspectors sent to the lab to let you know it's not toxigenic, right? But I mean, mold's kind of common.
Yeah, right? And the one fortunate thing is we don't come across it that often.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. So
other parts of private inspection, pest.
Sometimes a pest inspection, sometimes the private inspector if they're a good private inspector, they might possibly see carpenter ants somewhere when they're doing their inspection, or mice feces. They see these red flags and they'll say, you might want to have a pest inspector come out here just to check it out.
So I had one, I'll tell you a funny one. I had one I want to say it's Dearborn Heights, and they found raccoon poop up in the garage. That's like, whoa, man, that might be when you get a pest inspector to come out for. I don't even mess with a raccoon.
Was a raccoon up there?
I didn't see it. I wasn't looking for it either.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to tempt the raccoons.
Interesting.
So that's private inspection. That's one again on the buyers. The buyers do.
There's something else on private inspection that comes up now. It's coming up more and more, which I think we need to discuss. Is radon. We don't have it. It's not big in this area, but it happens. Out in Ann Arbor, Brighton, typically where lakes and water are, there are those issues. So a sewer inspection, $100, $150. A radon test, another $200. Keep your family safe, keep yourself safe might be something you might want to consider.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, absolutely. So again, on the buyer side, private inspection important, very important thing.
Very.
Yep. So other types of inspections. So when you have an FHA mortgage, or when you're trying to get an FHA mortgage, the FHA appraiser comes out, and he is not only an appraiser, but he's an inspector. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
But primarily appraiser. His number one job is to make sure the house is worth what the buyer is paying for.
Right. So things that they look for, just for my own sense of experience, they're going to look for peeling paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, I got a good story on this one. So a young man who bought a house from me, I just lost the city. I think it's West Side. I just lost the city though. So, and they had the FHA inspector appraiser found peeling paint in the door, the little door frame, like this much, right? So they held the sale up 2 or 3 days till they scraped and painted that little spot, and the guy came back out and looked at it. So, I'm truth be told, I really painted it myself. So that's the truth. I mean,
Are you a good painter?
No, I'm a terrible painter. But they got the job done. The guy said it was okay and got the heck out of there. So
A couple other things that they find is raised cement, trip hazards could be an issue. Hand railings going down steps, upstairs, up to the second floor, things like that. Typically minor things.
Well, so I've seen GFIs, right?
Mm-hmm.
GFI plugs. They got anywhere near 6 feet of water. GFI plugs. They have to trip. Mm-hmm. So that's that.
Usually, going back to the peeling paint issue, usually a lot of times it's on the garage.
Yeah.
Garage issues.
Yeah,
it's usually not the house. Usually the garage. People think, it's a garage. They care. FHA cares about that. So
I just don't know how many kids are chewing on that paint. You know what I mean? Like how they had paint eating parties or what?
You know, an inspector told me that lead-based paint is sweet. That's why kids like it.
You gotta be kidding.
No, I'm serious.
What?
They did. Yeah. It sounds
don't
weird, doesn't
eat
it?
it.
So if
don't try this. Don't listen to him
don't
and
test
try
it. Don't
Please
test
don't test this.
Yeah.
How
No, I'm
weird.
serious. I'm serious.
It's sweet?
That's what somebody told me. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay, so we got private inspections for the buyer. We talked about FHA inspections for the buyer. Now, on the sell side, you got city inspections. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you pay for some municipalities. Some don't do it. Like Brownstown doesn't do it. Hamilton Park, do they do it now or no?
No, I heard that it might be coming into play, but I don't.
Right.
know.
So
Taylor, Dearborn, different heights. Yeah.
Right. So what you pay for when
doesn't.
you go to the city, down to the city, and you pay for an inspection, you pay for initial and you pay for a final. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You get two shots at it. So they come out and they check the house out. Stuff that I always see get hit. Like if you have a dryer vent that's an accordion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see it needs to be a hard pipe.
Right. It's a fire hazard.
Dearborn Heights, I'm telling you, Dearborn Heights, I'm trying to remember who it was. Sometimes they have to enclose. You have to close the steps going downstairs so kids can't fall through and stuff like that. Handrails again. A lot of stuff FHA sites, right?
Yeah.
Another municipality wanted one faucet for the bathroom, so anti-scolding or scalding faucets. Mm-hmm. So a lot of different things like that. And that's on the seller side typically, unless the buyer assumes the repairs.
I know. Yeah. So a couple things. The City of Weston and Garden City require roof as is roof letter.
Yep.
On roofs on any structure. I think garage and house. I know house for sure. Garage too, I think too. And it's not a big deal. Usually the roof could be, if the roof's less than a year old, that you don't have to do it. But if it's over a year old, they want a letter from the buyer saying that they're buying a home with the roof at an as-is condition, which is kind of odd. It's a little strange, but that's what they require.
Other cities do concrete letters.
Yeah, sometimes right.
So I mean, they're saying, hey,
Cities
everybody saying out loud, hey, you know what you can bought, right? I guess.
So cities are different. So
yeah. And it is true. Like some cities have different. I mean, the code is I think the same. Yeah. It's just they have different focuses, right?
Yeah. They're mostly safety hazard things that they want to make sure that their citizens are safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more thing about the city inspection. Sometimes the seller, they don't want to do the work. They really put it on the buyer. They'll pay for the city inspection and they'll ask the buyer to do it. So if you're open-minded and you're really handy, it's a possible way you can get some additional, get the house at a reduced rate, reduced sale price, and put some sweat equity into it and end up with a nice house and doing it the way you want, making sure it's done properly.
Right, and two, so let's say you did that. Let's say the buyer assumes the city repairs, okay? they usually have to buy a closing letter from the city or something.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
there's some
so-
fees to it. Yes.
Right, so you go down to the
It's not-
city with your purchase agreement and that, and you get a closing letter or sometimes. Not everybody, but sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes they do, yeah. So that's another thing that could be shifted back to the buyer. Now, the reason we brought all these different inspections up is because what happens is folks get confused or assume, well, the city's going to come out and inspect the house, that's good enough for me, right? Or FHA's going to come and inspect the house, that's good enough for me. Neither one of those is anywhere as thorough as the private inspection is going to be.
Right.
I'm just on a time frame alone, right?
Right.
Private inspector's there for an hour or an hour,
Hour
90
to 2
minutes,
hours,
you know.
3 hours maybe.
Right. And city inspector's in there
15.
doing 10 more a day.
Yeah, city inspector's in there 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and that's walking into the house and walking out. So
Yeah. So
it's a lot quicker. Same thing with FHA appraiser. They're not there very long.
right. So you definitely that's the difference between them, I would say. Like FHA appraiser is for value, city is for city safety, and then private inspector is for protecting you from any craziness.
Right.
Right. So I mean, I don't know. That's any other kind of inspections that we should discuss with folks.
I think there might be some special ones here and there, but that's pretty the biggest ones that we deal with on fairly regular
Well, so
basis.
since we went on the VA kick for a little bit of explaining about veterans, so how about on the VA loan, you have to have a pest inspection, right?
You have to, yes.
The veteran cannot pay for it. Doesn't mean the seller has to pay for it, but the vet cannot pay for that. So that's kind of like another tip of the hat to a veteran. That
Yeah.
either the seller has to pay for it. I've seen agents pay for it. I've seen lenders pay for it. All kinds of different stuff like that.
Veterans served our country and they deserve a right to buy a home, and the veteran mortgage is a very good mortgage for them. Unfortunately, not all sellers or not all agents are open-minded to working with a veteran that has a mortgage, VA mortgage, and it's just not right. So you need.
I guess I never understand that. So what's the difference?
I think
what are you scared of?
I think that's the thing, is they don't have any experience with it, and they're concerned that I have no idea. With the experience we have, we can walk them through.
So like, I'll give you an
An
example,
opportunity.
okay? So like, I had a couple that sold. They closed on their house money they sold, and they closed on their house money they bought on Tuesday, right? Both the buyer for their house was a veteran, and they were a veteran. I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's nothing big. It's
Right. But wasn't it the one that you said had multiple offers on it?
yes.
And do you think they accepted it offer because it was a veteran to a veteran?
I don't know. I know on the seller side that played into it, because I knew the seller's thought process a little bit. So yeah, they put it this way. They were glad it went to a vet. The other side, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I've had a couple in the past where that the seller wanted to sell to a veteran.
Yeah, so
And they were okay with it. They made them feel proud.
I just don't understand why people would not take it. Doesn't it?
I think it's the agent. The agent has no experience with it. That's what I think.
There's no super secret scary stuff.
No, there's not. It's a great mortgage for the veteran.
So Don, I want to close out with a couple of things. I want to make folks aware of some changes that we're creating. One, we both have YouTube channels. Okay, so if you look up the Bergeron team on YouTube, or you look up
Or Don Lawrence on YouTube, DonLorinCz.
So on top of this weekly show bit that we're going to do, we're also putting out at least one video a week of some topic of some sort. Again, our role is to give you some kind of value. We've been doing this for a while, both of us, and we talk about real estate all the time. So we figured, why not talk in front of a camera and help you out, and maybe you get some value from it. That's one. Two, we're going to start a group that goes along with talking real estate with Don and Scott, because we want to make sure we feel like we're getting your questions. We're still kind of novice with the videoing part. So like right now, I haven't get anybody shout outs because I can't see who's on our video today. All right. We're getting better at that slowly, right? It's stressful and frustrates me, but it's something we'll get better at. So we're going to start a group called Talking Real Estate with Don and Scott. So you can post your questions and we can answer it that way too. Three, starting from today forward, we're going to start putting reminders out, or we're going to create an event at this show, because we want to keep doing it 7 o'clock every Wednesday. So that's definitely some things that are in the works, so keep an eye out for those. Again, check out our YouTube channels. Anything else you want to add?
No, other than the fact that I'm having a lot of fun with this. I don't know if you are.
I am.
But I think this is a blast, and it makes me so excited about real estate.
So let's do
helping
this.
others.
I got some. So let's do a poll, okay? Because Don came back from Colorado with this crazy beard. All right, I don't know if he's Grizzly Adams. Who thinks, put comments in below, Who thinks Don will the beard will disappear next week? Okay, I don't know. Put in the comments
what
below.
What are the odds?
Yes, I think Don's gonna get rid of the beard, or no, he's not. Because we'll see. Because I look over at you, I'm like going, really? The beard still? You still got the beard? Come on. So
how long is this going to go? I don't know. It's a day-by-day basis right now because every time I have to itch it, it just gets to the point.
Guys, let me end with one last thing. So we have been doing this for quite a while. We have a pretty good knowledge base. We always want to answer your questions, and you can always reach out to us via message or whatever. I have folks that reach out to me right after the show and say, hey, can you tell me about this? I don't understand this. Or I had a gentleman yesterday, he wants to take his house over from his mom and things like that. So if you ever have questions, we're always willing to help you out, whether it turns into a sale for us or something like that or not. We want to share our knowledge with you. Okay?
However we can help you.
Absolutely.
It's not about us.
No.
It's about helping others.
The big sign off. Here it comes. Are you ready? I'm Scott.
And I'm Don.
And we're talking real estate. See ya.
See ya.